I am a Hayden homeowner, and I am the proud grandmother of 5 Hayden grandchildren. I'm going to talk about the city administrator, sort of best hopes and worst fears, and sort of the whole process. So in the next few days, the Hayden City Council will be hiring a new city administrator, which is probably going to be one of the most important decisions you guys make. And some people don't realize how important city administrator is, because even though I've been watching how cities work for a while, and even though it's true that the city council oversees things, it is actually the city administrator who runs the city government. And for the city to operate well, the city administrator must have the full support and trust of the elected officials. So who will be Hayden's next administrator? It was mentioned in the last city council meeting that about 20 people or over applied, and then 3 finalists were selected by a consultant associated with an international group of city managers who probably had a great deal of sort of insider information about this stuff because he's very experienced at it. Anyway, he selected 3 finalists. Those finalists will be interviewed later this week by city council members in executive session. Therefore, no members of the community will be able to see what questions are asked or how they are answered. This is unfortunate, and we cannot help but contrast this secretive process to the selection of a mayor just 18 months ago when everything was done openly, including the candidate interviews. So we can't help wonder why so much secrecy for the administration and why the rush. The selection of a city administrator is scheduled for 1 o'clock next Monday. And in addition to making a final choice on the selection of an administrator, at that same meeting, the council will be voting on the terms of their contract. Both of these decisions are of enormous importance, but ironically, the terms of the new city administrator's employment contract might be just as important as the decision of who the new city administrator is. Why is the employment contract so important? Because the terms and conditions of the city administrator's contract will determine who he is answerable to and how reliant he is on the goodwill of the city council. This is an issue because in the last few years, there have been a few well-known cases where an outgoing board of trustees hired a new chief administrator and intentionally put terms of his contract made him virtually impossible to replace. And we've seen how this works out. The drama. The newly selected administrator is not accountable to the newly elected board. There is legal wrangling, and at the first sign of conflict, ICRIMP, Idaho's local government insurance program, withdraws coverage. Unneeded drama and orchestrated chaos. This type of sabotage of city government is exactly what Hayden residents do not want to see. It is critical for the new city administrator to get along with the incoming city council, whether or not he is politically aligned with them. And if he can't get along with them, there must be a relatively painless way to hire a replacement. Elected officials can be removed from office if they violate the trust of their citizens, and city administrators must likewise be accountable to elected officials. Fortunately, I do not expect Hayden to have the same problems that the conservative boards of NIC and CLN had. In the first place, I doubt city officials would write a contract for a new administrator with terms that were so rigged that they would throw the whole city into chaos. But even more importantly, Hayden is not like NIC or the Community Library Network. Both of these institutions are culturally leftist with a deeply politicized workforce. And the conservative boards elected to run them are at odds with the vast majority of employees. The opposite situation is true in Hayden. The conflict in Hayden is not between liberals and conservatives, but between central planners who are intent on densifying the city and Hayden homeowners who just want to prevent globalist visionaries from destroying their community. The fact is, conservative homeowners represent the vast majority of the electorate, and any city administrator who feels threatened by such a constituency should not be applying for and should not accept the position as Hayden's city administrator. Thank you.